crashing. 6 kids, 2 ladies, 1 man with no nuts and lots of balls on board. New Jersey or bust. Funmobile. Here it is. And here we are driving across the country. This story goes back a long ways. Hopefully I'll get some videos up here. Before I croak. This is 1987. After spending 2 weeks in our driveway getting this motorhome going, everything from a complete fuel flush, total new fuel system. We put a new roof on it because we didn't want to get wet, and the roof had holes everywhere, and that took a lot of time. And dusted, it never rained. Just once. Whole bunch of electrical work. Yeah, getting that refrigerator going. Basically a lot of work. Kept breaking down. We'd pull out of the driveway and head out on our big trip. Break down, limp it home, work on it. Head out, break down, limp it home, work on it. Head out, break down, break down, break down, break down, break down. By the time we got to Idaho, we were moving on pretty good. This story, though, involves one of those magical times that you're probably not going to believe me. Anyone that knows me has heard this story before. So I'm pretty pooped at this point, driving across, because no sleep. And it involves me sitting right there. We're just south of Idaho Falls. I think it's Idaho Falls. We're heading up. We're going to cut across Yellowstone, through Yellowstone, and we're in a divided highway, kind of like this. Except there's 2 lanes this way, pretty raised bed there, and the other section on the other side. So we had 2 lanes one way and a divided highway. It's late at night. Everyone's asleep, crashed in the back. And see this center section here over the motor compartment? By then I'd gotten pretty good at taking it on and off. Anyway, cruising along, and next thing I know, I fell asleep at the wheel. Of course, I come to, I'm hanging onto the wheel, fell over, and I'm laying on the motor, the doghouse over the motor. So the whole motorhome, we're towing that little Triumph you saw in the back there, and it's about this is a 36 foot long motorhome. Everyone's crashed except me, and then I was crashed, and next thing you know, we're gonna crash. Of course, I come to laying on the doghouse on my right side, holding onto the wheel, putting the motorhome in an extreme left-hand turn, and I knew we only had a little bit of time before we're going off that. It's about a 5-6 foot drop off the road. We're doing probably 75, 80 miles an hour. All these kids, everyone's in the back, crashed. I'll never forget laying there just waiting for this big crash to happen. Of course, just the motorhome turns pegged me onto on the top of the doghouse, holding onto the wheel. And talk about everything happened in slow motion now. Can you imagine this? All these kids are in the back. Oh yeah, the graffiti on the side there, that's quite a story. What happened was we broke down and we limped it to the shucks where I basically had to rewire the whole motor harness. A lot of wiring up under the dash. Yep, this is where I fell asleep right there. Had to wire the motor in the dash, and we're there for quite some time while I'm living in this 90-some 100-degree heat, doing all this wiring in a shucks parking lot. And Sarah went in and bought all the kids' spray paint cans. She goes, here, go to town on the side of this thing. And that was pretty much at this point the only thing we hadn't fixed was that whole driver's side of the motorhome. It was so rotten you could literally put your finger through it. In fact, when we got to New Jersey, just across the river from New York, Carol's husband came out and saw all the graffiti. Like, look, which is my motorhome? And I had spent so much time working on it by now. The work I did to it would have involved easily over $10,000. Just working on it. Another thing about the graffiti, when people would come up alongside us and they're reading first they read the back of it, and they come alongside and read the side, you know, they just couldn't wait to get up to the side, look in the driver's, see what's driving. Of course, by then we knew what they're going to be doing. And they always had cameras out. Sometimes we had cameras out too, taking pictures of them. But anyway, about halfway across the country, we became pretty outside of Chicago. Oh yeah, one time I was so upset. We're going down the road and I literally climbed out that window. Told Carol, grab the wheel. I'm going on the top. And it was probably the hairiest rock climbing moves I've ever rock climbing motorhome moves. I climbed out the window and had to palm the roof and climbed up on the roof. I just rode up on top of the motorhome for a while. Yeah, until people call this is before cell phones, but sure enough, the cops caught up with us and pulled us over one that was going on. Yep, crawled out that window right there. Crawled out the window, up on the top. It was quite the move. I remember telling her, you just jerk the wheel a little bit. I'm going out here on the back on my pavement, on the pavement on my back. You can kill me if you want right now. That's the kind of thing this all developed into. Anyway, we're just south of Idaho Falls. Motorhome's ready to make a big move, go off the ditch like you see here on the left. About a 5 or 6 foot drop. I'm just holding on, waiting for this big impact, and all of a sudden, something literally bent down. I was laying down, something grabbed me, scooped underneath my body between me and the top of the doghouse. Yeah, it was a highway just like this right here, just south of Idaho Falls. Some energy, some force, some energy picked me up and literally picked me up and put me back in the seat. And now we're like way off the left here. The front driver's wheel is ready to drop off the edge, just like this, and just like that. And of course, the first thing I do is get up there, and I don't even question how I got there. I'm looking in the mirror at the Triumph, and I'm pulling back on. Of course, the Triumph goes off. Triumph drops off totally off the side of the road there and down the side, which pulled the back of the motorhome that way. So now I'm driving in the rearview mirror, and we're basically out of control at this point. Within about 4 or 5 moves without rolling it. Oh, wow. Just when I climbed down the roof, I know I video this. Oh, almost had video of it. Here's one of our breakdown times. This is how the first week and the first 4 days of this trip went right here. Me working on this piece of crap. Found out later he paid less than $1,000 for this thing. And what's funny is when we got to New Jersey and they drove it back, like I don't know, I guess a year later or something. Like, man, we didn't have any problems driving back. It drove all the way back all by itself. And in fact, we went back there and the guy just hooked up the car to the back. He just hooked it right up. It didn't take him a whole day like it did for you. Yeah, because I had to run wiring all the way back to that Triumph. And whew, anyway. Yeah, his dad was Carol's husband, Tom. I don't know if that guy's still alive. That guy was something else. At this rate, we're looking at a month. I just said, yep. Well, here we are on the side of the road somewhere. It broke down. Yeah, it broke down in Yellowstone too. I'll have to tell that story. That's quite the story. Okay, here we are. Yeah, here's the Joey did it. I'll never forget. Tom comes out. Would you in my motorhome? His kids did it, and I literally took my finger and I poked a hole right about here. Just took my finger and jammed it in the side of the motorhome and knocked the hole clean through the side. It's all rotten. And he just freaked out. What'd you do to my motorhome? You made a hole in my motorhome. It sure is amazing how the people, oh, you got tagged. Never heard that. Oh, you got tagged. Oh, yeah, I just worked for 5 hours straight in the motorhome in the hot sun. Yeah, that was one of many, many times working on this thing. People were going, what are you going to New Jersey for? I don't even remember what we were doing here. But I do remember we're spending all that whole day in the Shucks parking lot, totally building a whole new wire harness for the motor. Everything just melted. Christopher! Christopher's my number one. Water ducks. Yeah, I ended up doing a lot of work to this thing. Going through the whole valve train. It was known as a 440, Dodge 440. Got the thing running pretty good though. By the time we got it running good, we could cruise this thing at 85, 90 miles an hour. I'll tell that story too about the oh, there's some guy who wanted to come over, probably because I was with two sexy babes and the whole family. He want everyone to know what the heck's this guy doing. Yeah, I think it's his motorhome over there. He's like, holy smokes, man, holy smokes. He's like, I'm getting out of here. You're bad judo, dude. You got bad judo. I never heard we had so much bad luck. Yeah, we ended up driving this motorhome through New York City. That's another story too. I have to tell that one. We literally got chased through the cops in downtown New York City. Okay, so we actually ditched the cops in Central Park and then ended up in Queens and Harlem in a motorhome. I'll tell that story soon. Anyway, get back to the most amazing story of the trip for me, anyway. Didn't really know where I was at. We knew it was somewhere in Idaho. So here I am looking in the rearview mirror. The motorhome is literally going back and forth. Stuff is flying out of the cupboards on the floor. Everyone's ending up on the floor of this thing. Yeah, the kids. I can't imagine what the experience this was for them. Anyway, the motorhome's going back and forth. I'm doing all I can to keep it from rolling. I don't know how we didn't roll. Probably the same energy or spiritual being, I call it. Definitely outside intervention. That saved me that picked me up. Saved the motor from rolling over too. But anyway, got it back under control. And I'm driving along, and I could still feel the energy next to me there, to my right, over the top of the engine. Everything's going through my head. What just happened? What just happened? And it was just one of those unbelievable things. Is there really something there? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just my imagination, and maybe I did pull myself up. But I remember didn't want to pull any more on the wheel because I would have put it more in the left-hand turn, laying down to the right of the wheel. And like I say, I was that literally lifted up with some energy, some outside intervention back into this driver's seat. So we were driving down the road, and I'm like, man, I could feel the energy next to me. And I'm like, maybe it's, here I am getting some sleep, maybe. This is back in the days when I could sleep. So Carol must be driving now. Looks like it's yeah, what a trip this was. Anyway, it's like, is it really something there? Is it something that meets my imagination? So I put my hand out to touch it, and just as I touched it, it disappeared. It was gone. Anyway, make a long story short, when we got back, I found out just probably right next to where this whole incident happened, my dad's mom, my grandma, was buried. Within a mile or two where this whole thing happened. I'm not saying it was her, but you can see what happened. I'm driving like this. Fell asleep, fell over to the right, laying there on top of the motor cover where Joey's sitting. Motorhome's in a hard left turn, going off the road. I'm picked up. Somehow got the motorhome back in control without rolling it. Because I see that little car in the back had a lot to do with dragging this thing around, especially when the car dropped off the road. And like I say, we're going between 70 and 80 miles an hour when this happened. And you can tell by the configuration of this motorhome, it was just twisting, and it's a total piece of crap. But I found out my dad's mom was buried. I think it was a week before this incident, within a mile of where this happened. Anyway, so we're pretty tore up. So what we did, we took the next exit. It was where the Mormon temple at Ocean Falls is, and we pulled in there to get some. If no one bothers here, it was early in the morning, get some sleep. So I pulled down the overhead compartment over the. Oh, there's Joey driving. So I crawled up there to get some decent sleep, and it was not decent sleep. It was one of those things. I was in a dream, 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 in a dream. I was 6 dreams in. And of course, every time I woke up in my dream, I'm thinking it's real. But after about the 4th or 5th one, I got an idea what's going on. This is not real. And man, these dreams were horrible. Every one of them was a horrible, horrible nightmare based on what the incident just happened. less than an hour earlier. And I kind of come to, and Carol and Czar are shaking me, trying to wake me back up, because I guess I was convulsing or stuff pretty good. But I'll never forget that. I was 6 dreams in before I came to. And of course, when I came to, I'm thinking this is not real too. It took quite a while to convince me I'm back to real life, which I guess begs the question: what is real life, and what are dreams? How do dreams work? What is the deal with dreams? And this was probably my 3rd or 4th experience with, I call it outside intervention, stepping in and saving my sorry ass. Yep. Zippy's ass got saved. Zippy's sorry ass got saved.